Welcome to the White Witch Podcast with me, Carly. Hope you are all well, witches. Happy 2021. And with that in mind, today's episode is all about intentions. By no means suggesting new year, new witch, but I'm sure there's some information that might help you with your spiritual practices and craft for this year. But to start things off today, we have our book review, and today's book is Intuitive Witchcraft, How to Use Intuition to Elevate Your Craft, written by Astrea Taylor. If you ask me what one book I would recommend to most witches at any level, I would have to suggest this book. It's absolutely packed out with every single aspect of the craft. So we had the wonderful Astrea Taylor on the show before to discuss this book and her practice, as she is a complete joy. This book is incredibly bulky, but it holds everything in there you could possibly need in relation to the craft. Astrea has really done her work. I love the section on the witch's hats, which I will talk about in the main segment of today's episode. This is in the chapter Working with Energy, which also delves into energy frequencies, chakras, and energy fields. The part of this book I value the most is the spell correspondences and how to create your own spells. This is one of the best sections within a book I have found because it helps you to understand exactly how to create your own spells from complete scratch. So here's an example. It's split into a table. You have in here will or spell. So you have the intention and your goal. You have personal correspondences. You have raising energy, and you have the magical action. Put all of those together and you have your full spell. So for the intention, you have like I statements that you'd use in the present tense, and you have some control over this. Your goal, so that's achievable, specific but not too specific. Both you and the outside world influence it. Add your personal correspondences. These are anything you associate with your will. Raising energy, so this is any action that boosts your energy to a higher frequency. And your magical action, any action taken in ritual or practice with the goal of changing the current energy. So, for example, your intention could be, I am calm, I am magical, I am creative. Therefore, your goal that you might want to set could be that you meditate 3 times a day, you observe the sabbaths and esberts, you work on your creative projects 3 times a week to coincide with your intention. So for your personal correspondences, you might want to consider the plants that you'd use, colours, planets, zodiac signs, essential oils, crystals or minerals, hours of the day, days of the week, natural objects, deities or spirits that you might call upon to work with you. And to raise the energy, you might want to consider movement, singing, dancing, making music, breath work, drawing energy from nature, using spelled or charged objects, using your senses. And your magical action could be anything from burning, burying, destroying, binding something together, charging something, enchanting something. All of those correspondences all together is just a wonderful way of constructing your own bespoke spell work. The book looks at how to create your own spell jars, enchanting objects, making charms, sigils, but instead of just listing out individual ones you can create, this book explains how you could make your own, and I love that. I like that she delves into different topics like what to do when your magic doesn't work, commemorating your growth as a witch, intuitive morning and evening practices, lunar rituals, solar rituals, working with the gods, working with spirits, defensive and neutral magics, curses and hexes, trance states, astral projection, lucid dreaming, dream initiation. I'm pretty sure there wasn't a topic within the craft that I didn't come across. So I will read you a snippet to give you some insight into Astrea's writing style. Chapter 1, Listening to Your Intuition. As you step deeper into the enchanted forest of the soul, you notice there are no paths, just the vast, thick woods spreading as far as the eye can see. Where do you want to go? What direction are you attracted to? And what area repels you? When do you feel safe and what makes you feel threatened? The first tenet of intuitive witchcraft is to know your intuition and to your intuition be true. Our journey starts with creating spaces inside ourselves to allow our intuition to speak to us. We can listen to the small voice of our intuition and learn who we are, what we feel, and what we want. By listening to that little voice, we find ways to be true to it, to speak our truths out loud, and to honor ourselves. When we check in with intuition, often about what we really feel, we can find our way through the wild woods easily and live our personal truths. Conversely, if we ignore the little voice, we won't know who we are, what we feel, or what we want. We wouldn't be true to anything, which makes everything around us, including our lives, become meaningless. In other words, when we don't listen to that little voice, we become lost in the woods. Getting to know who we really are and how we feel can be one of life's biggest hurdles, but also one of the greatest pleasures. So I wonder if that section made you think of the little doll in Vasilisa's pocket in the Baba Yaga story we read recently. It certainly did me. Astrea is such a warm, comforting writer. I love that she empowers you to create your own spells, rituals, and practices. She's encouraging, and from my time of knowing her, such a beautiful soul. So I wholeheartedly recommend this book, and I keep coming back to it since we read it earlier this September with the Literary Witches Coven. I don't think it sunk in with me then exactly how perfect this book is for anyone within the crafts. Join me after the break when we talk all about intentions. So I wanted to talk to you all about the wonderful Erin from Arcana Crafts. Erin is an intuitive tarot reader. She's a green witch and an energy healer. She studies the tarot from a holistic perspective, utilizing numerology, astrology, and the esoteric symbolism of the cards. Readings with Erin are very personal and in-depth. They're based on your current life experiences, and she will help you formulate questions for the tarot. And this can include any issues, worries, goals, or dreams that you might be having. And the result is a customized tarot spread that fits you as an individual spirit. Erin sees tarot as a way to hold space for someone while they connect to their higher self and access their personal truth. She emphasizes giving you all the genuine focus and spiritual attention that you need in order to feel seen and heard. Erin's speciality is connecting people to their personal power, and she makes sure that you walk away feeling empowered with a clear plan on how to rise above and get to the next step in your life. So I wanted to give you some insight into my experience of a reading with Erin. For the last 6 years, I have seen the same tarot reader who I would visit face to face, but with the pandemic, she wasn't able to see anyone. So I ended up scheduling a reading with Erin. I got to see her gorgeous face on the call. I could really pick up on Erin's calm energy, her warmth, and her depth of knowledge. We did some work to build the energy up. We discussed exactly what I wanted to hone in on, and we went from there. I felt so connected to the energy, the reading, and to Erin, and I was overwhelmed with how Erin interpreted the cards. She allowed me the space to ask her any questions I wanted to. She actively encouraged me to do this. Erin went into real depth on the reading. She just kept going, but also checked in with me at the end of each card to summarize and make sure that I understood all that had come across and any actions I might need to take going forward. This reading was an absolute joy. I came off the call feeling heard, encouraged, and excited about my future. I cannot recommend Erin enough for her work. What a great time to book in with her for a reading too and see what's on your cards for your 2021. All her bookings are done through her website. You can also read testimonials or more about Erin too. So you can find her on Instagram at arcana.crafts.co, her website arcanacrafts.co, and her email address arcanacraftsco@gmail.com. That's ARCANA. And I will put all the notes in the show notes for you to see too. So with the beginning of 2021 and also the age of Aquarius, some real power behind our intentions, it had me thinking on what my plans are for this year, what I want to work on within my craft, but also my health and daily routines. So I mentioned in our book review, The Witch's Hat, that I came across in Astrea Taylor's book. The Witch's Hat is made up of 4 layers. So the largest, most important section to fulfill within the Witch's Hat is the brim, which is for physical energy. The second most important layer is emotional energy. Then you have mental energy, and the smallest section, so the tip of the hat, is spiritual energy. Reading this book back in September made me realise I am an upside down witch's hat, because at the time I focused firstly on my spiritual energy and the lacking side was physical energy. The witch's hat is based on the hierarchy of human needs that was created by Abraham Maslow. He created a pyramid with these different layers on, and Astrea's book depicts this as the witch's hat, which is completely ingenious. So our physical energy needs include sleeping, eating healthy foods, access to clean water, exercise, resting, clean air, like good hygiene. Clean air is clearly so good, I've said it twice. Everything that sets the tone for our bodies to function properly and to fuel us to achieve things. So physical energy is the biggest demand on us on the daily. Emotional energy is more subtle, and our emotional needs include friendship, self-love, unconditional love, a sense of feeling safe or security, feeling understood, community, feeling respected. And emotional energy heavily taps into our physical energy. So if you don't feel physically safe, you won't feel emotionally safe. And the two being in combination aren't always clear. So a bit of an example, having pretty much exactly the same things lined up on 2 different days. For example, going to work. One day you're going feeling sad about an argument. Another, you start off feeling overjoyed as it's your birthday. How you navigate your day and the success you have throughout your endeavors, how your body and your mind feels as well within both, will differ entirely based off of your emotional stance, which then, of course, taps into mindset. Mental energy affects our ability to focus, study, communicate, create boundaries, and make decisions. So within the mental energy side of things is our ego, or our guardian, so our guardian between us and the rest of the world. So if we are in a good mental energy, our guardian will help us to bat negativity away easily, work through challenges, stand up for us when needed, helps us set healthy boundaries, protects us from unhealthy emotions. However, some of us, myself included at times, we might be lacking and have a guardian that is weak, disempowered, or insecure. So our guardian in this sense is our inner parent, our friend or advocate. Our need for mental stimulation is really important too. So this is through learning new things, problem solving, creative projects, imagining, brainstorming, and entertainment that we consume. So these all are all ways we can work on our mental energy that taps into like ability to study, focus, and so on. So spiritual energy is the highest and most transcendent energy available to us. Somewhere we spend the least amount of time, but this is the most rewarding energy. This energy can be felt as an uplifting sensation in the heart, head, or aura. So through taking care of the demands of our bodies, emotions, and thoughts, we are likely to experience out of the blue spiritual experiences, but on the regular, we can practice things like ritual, meditation, connection to the divine, self-actualization, and just overall, like it will give us that oneness with the universe. So to reach those mystic levels, we need to create good foundations by taking care of our other energies. So focusing firstly, which seems like the other way around, on our physical, emotional, and mental energy. So by having good energy in one section, you can lay the groundwork for the others in the pyramid. So our aim is like good food, rest and exercise, combined with working on feeling safe, loved and content, and then escalating to feeling focused with an unburdened mind, which then taps into feeling lit up within through to feeling like radiant, connected and whole. You can still have spiritual experiences if other areas of your witch's hat are a bit squiffy, but your energy might not be as grounded. And that is something that I have struggled with. So if any of that section resounded with you, that's all from Intuitive Witchcraft from our book review. So most of my most spiritual moments stem from complete sobriety, eating healthy food and doing exercise. But the cakeitarian in me isn't happy about this, and that's my daily struggle. So in essence, it's made me take a whole audit on my goals for 2021. And I realized that I would obviously like to be more witchy, but the first goal I need to focus on more for 2021 is my health, and everything else will feed into that. So I must confess that with filming more things recently, it's made me realize my perceptions around how I look and my weight. And in a way, that's from my own perspective, mainly because I want to do great things and I struggle with having enough energy sometimes to do all the things that I want to do. So that's why my first focus is there, which I know will tap into every other single aspect of my life. I know that some of that is tapping into mindset as well and more self-love and so on. And funnily enough, the next episode that we have coming up is all about Aphrodite and self-love along those lines because it feels relevant. A lot of us will go into this year with the whole like new year, new me. I want to lose weight. I want to look like this. And for me, I've had a lot of issues around my own weight, but I realized that if I come at that from a place of disempowerment, beating myself up for how I look and for my addiction to cake, it's not going to help me love myself and lose weight from a healthy space. The answer really, I believe, is for me to start seeing myself in a more positive light. And that is sometimes difficult, but sometimes that is very important. If you're going to start anything, I really feel you need to do it with so much love for yourself. So you're not beating yourself up, which is just the cruelest thing to do. And a little side note, I had an EFT session recently with one of my friends, and that's like emotional freedom technique. And I felt so emotional because I realized how mean I am to myself, how mean I am to my body. And I just realized that why am I doing that? I've been mean to myself for so long. Why don't I start with actually being kind to myself and seeing where that takes me? So I don't know why I'm going into this tangent, but if it resounds with any of us, especially after Yule and eating 10,000 mince pies, then, well, I said it. So, like I say, these are my intentions. And of course, intentions within witchcraft are a big part of our craft. Intentions on how we wish to work with different moon phases, intentions with our spell work, intentions with that which we wish to manifest and bring into our lives, but also that which we intend to remove. Intention determines focus, and this also influences your results. And intentions can form such a strong part of our witchcraft, but also our manifesting processes. So we can set intentions daily, weekly, monthly, and even annually. And like I say, I am by no means a fan of the whole like new year, new me idea. However, I utilize each Sabbath, like new and full moon, month, and even year to focus on that which I wish to bring in or remove. I really don't need an excuse to consider that. Setting intentions is key for anything we wish to do. If you are considering your plans for this year, you might wish to get clear on that which you wish to positively focus on. So, that which you wish to bring in rather than that which you don't. So, commit to a length of time you wish to work on this intention. Committing to your intention every day until you create the change you desire. So, let your intention teach you by checking in with it. You can ask yourself questions such as, does what I am thinking or doing align with my desire? Your intention is a point of awareness by which everything else becomes a contract. So consider your self-talk. So for me, I've had to stop saying my anxiety or like labeling myself as an anxious person, because all of that does is stops me like moving beyond that, as I'm saying it's part of me, like who I am. Therefore, in a sense, I manifest and create more of the same. So your subconscious also holds on to labels because we don't know who we would be without them. Meditation is a really important part of our work that links into our subconscious, because through doing this, we reconnect with who we really are. It helps us to formulate new perceptions and responses to old problems. So I've realized that anxiety needs to be walked towards if I want to find peace with what is at the root of it. So reoccurring deep anxiety always has a root cause, and this can be identified in order to treat it in a way that lasts. Often anxiety on a surface level looks as though it's through financial stress, work, typical things that it comes up from, but often this anxiety latches onto a much deeper, like more existential fear that's at play. So once you really delve into it, and obviously this forms part of shadow work as well, once you discover those fears, you can figure out how to find peace. So the soul speaks in symbols, so nothing is unrelated. There's always a common theme that runs throughout. And once this is discovered, you can follow it to the end answer and what the trigger is. It takes away its power and it can enable you to find peace within any situation. Our unhealed past will continue to create painful emotions and unhealed patterns until we release it. And only by going within can we unlock the door to growth, happiness, and healing. So it's by sitting with ourselves and facing our pain that the true magic begins. So coming back to the meditation, of course, means considering your daily rituals. I know we've touched on this on the podcast before. I've explained how it really took me some work to come around to meditation. I really didn't want to do it. I really didn't see the value in it. I knew that there was something in it, and that sounds really small-minded of me, but I couldn't focus my mind. And I think I was putting so much pressure on myself that I had to sit in complete silence, my mind never wandering off anywhere, like a great little Buddha, but that was never going to happen. So from a mental health perspective, our daily rituals have the ability to turn off the fight or flight response within us that creates anxiety. And they also set a deep feeling of calm, something I've really been finding since I've really given it a good go. It's like working on a muscle, building up your joy and happiness through daily routines. And it can be so foundational. But for me, as a creative lover of freedom, I struggled initially to set and stick to these daily rituals and routines. But now I see how foundational they are, how much it's helped me with, anxiety and a connection with myself. And in that, our daily practice connects us to our real self. So underneath any doubt, fear, or confusion, the part of us that identifies with fear, it isn't the real us. So through this daily ritual, we connect with the empowered, courageous witch. So when we start to connect with a daily ritual, we often find ourselves connected to our purpose or what we want to have as a goal. If you're on the verge of 2021 or you just find yourself in a rut, you might find that working on your daily ritual is the priority over creating goals, as it gives you the space to realize what you do want. So meditation connects us to the consistent, real us, and it gives us clarity and connection to stay grounded, shows us how to solve our problems, and also how to realize our dreams. So the more we focus on our doubts, fears, and insecurities, the more we feel trapped by them. Meditation is said to help with releasing repressed emotions. It helps us with our intuition, builds a relationship with ourselves. Whenever we meet someone new or we talk to our friends, we're so keen to hear about their hopes and dreams, desires, values, and their fears. So it's so important for us to listen to what our own soul is telling us. Cindy Brannan's book, Keeping Her Keys, this is a book we reviewed on the podcast, is a book all about working with the goddess Hecate. So within the book and much of Cindy's work, she often discusses the witch's hour of power. This consists of an hour every day working on affirmations, gratitude, journaling, intention setting, meditation, self-checks, and tarot practice. And she confirms that this daily ritual connects you to your power and enhances it. So I stand by this. However, mine's a slightly different daily practice, which consists of gratitude, journaling, intention setting, meditation, tarot practice. At the moment, a yoga session and a walk in nature. So it is just over an hour. So my compromise for time is watching telly and incessantly scrolling on Instagram so I can make it happen. So coming back to a bit of a life audit and some questions that you may want to look at starting off this year, or if you just reach any form of rut. So you might want to ask yourself, where do I want to be 3 months or 6 months from here, a year, 3 years, or 5 years from now? What are 50 things I want to have or do within my lifetime so you could create yourself the ultimate bucket list? What does a day in your dream life look like? How does it feel? What are you wearing? Like, what perfume have you got on? Who's with you? What's your environment? What colors can you see? Get into as much delicious detail as possible. You might decide that you want to have a look at, like, what action can you take today to work towards this dream? What can you focus on this month to work towards this year? Why do you want this? Like, how will this make you feel? What do you need to spend less time doing, or who do you need to remove from your life to make this happen? Who do you need to spend more time around? Who do you need to spend less time around? What spell work might help you towards your goals? What work can you do around the next full or new moon towards this goal? What limiting beliefs do you hold that you need to uncover and work on? Is there any external support that you might need? Like, do you need to attend AA or NA, or do you need to seek counseling or a coach? Do you need to speak to your friends or family? What deities could you work with to help you along your journey? Within shadow work, I also looked at ways that I could reparent myself every day. And you might want to get really honest with yourself about what needs to change. And this, again, can reach into your daily rituals. So some ways that you could reparent yourself are as follows. So like ensuring you get 8 hours of sleep, cooking yourself a nutritious home meal, getting out into nature, listening to a great podcast or reading a book, taking a 10-minute walk, being mindful of what you consume content-wise, setting boundaries, future self-journaling, practicing breath work. As you can see, all of those tap into different elements of the witch's hat too. So you might want to look at taking personal inventory of every section of your life to reflect on that which you want to focus on. So you could break life down into your spiritual, personal development, family, relationships, like career, business, financial, health, all these different sections, and breaking each section of your life down to be brutally honest with where you are now, where you want to be, and how you could get there. So an analysis of all areas. And this can be so hard. So like we were saying earlier, be really kind to yourself as you do it. Like, nothing great comes out of hate, basically. So, for example, like I was saying about my own goals, my spiritual goals are to learn tarot, like grow and have a stronger knowledge of herbs so I can build up my own apothecary and use this to help my physical and mental health. Also, to understand more in regards to shamanic practices. But I know I need to first and foremost work on my physical goals, and then that will help me working on my spiritual ones. So for part of my spiritual goals, I have then gone on to start a daily tarot pull that I journal in my Book of Shadows, which is a really interesting practice. So I pulled the Queen of Wands card twice in 2 consecutive days last week. I find that I get a lot of connection and different, the same cards keep coming up for me, but I'm starting to understand each card to a better depth by writing it down and researching it every day. So if you are an OG to this podcast, you might remember my brother being on one of the first episodes, and he has taught tarot workshops, and he explained that the best way of learning tarot, and finally I'm practicing this, is to do yourself a daily tarot pull. So if you are learning tarot or considering doing a daily pull to build up your practice, there are 2 parts of wisdom that have been imparted on me recently that might be of interest to you. And the first was from a Estonian witch who said to use your left hand when you are pulling your cards, because it is the hand, the arm side, that is closest to your heart. And the second came in the form of a post that I found on Pinterest that was quoted by someone called Skinlae, Stinlae. So a lot of witches talk about tarot, about the questions you can ask, how to cleanse your cards, how to memorize their meanings, and more. However, rarely have I seen any witch talk about just sitting down with your cards and chatting with them. In this way, I mean not having a question to ask them beyond what do you want to say today. This, unbelievably, is how I developed a relationship with my tarot cards. To read tarot, you don't have to have a question before you begin. Sure, if you have a client, then having a question is the best course of action and is needed. However, if you're having a one-on-one and are trying to develop your relationship, sit down with your cards and treat them like you would a friend. Start a conversation, ask their opinion, tell them about your day, let them tell you about their day, and on, Your cards are more than just cards. They are more than a business proposition or venture. They are more than just a tool for you to use whenever you deem them appropriate. You grow, they grow. You stop talking to them, they will become silent too. So talk to them about nothing, about everything, and watch your relationship grow exponentially. So I feel like there's a lot in that. And I feel that that is part of every single different element that we want to bring into our lives for this year, because it is all about the energy that you put into that area of your life. So I know that's linked to tarot, but it's like every little bit of energy you drop into your practice of meditation or your little practice on journaling, it all comes together. And before you know it, your connection with that certain area and energy will multiply and be so beneficial. So for my intentions for 2021, I'm also beginning to research herbs, and I'm going bigger on my growing this year. So I'm currently planning out my witch's garden, and I even have a bigger patch this year to work on. I'm also scheduling in more time to work on my spell work and using information from Astrea's book. So I've started to construct spells from complete scratch, and I feel much more aligned with them and their power as they are bespoke to me. Along that note, I just want to mention that I'll be setting up a group on Facebook under the White Witch Company for green witches, hedge witches, herbal practitioners, basically for anyone who is interested in plants, herbs, and making things from them, be it food, smoke cleansing bundles, body products, just a space we can all exchange knowledge and information about our craft and what we have done throughout the year in terms of planting and growing. We all know that come in bulk, many of us will be excited to start growing, laying seeds either metaphorically within our lives for that we wish to bring in, or even within our gardens. I also want to stress that you don't need to have a sprawling garden either to get involved with this group. I am an avid pot grower within a small seaside garden, and I am an advocate for people who grow on windowsills and tiny spaces. Like, let nothing stop you. At the same time, we have some witches who are getting involved with this, who have their own allotments and small holdings. So there is something for everyone. I will launch this group early 2021, but keep an eye out on Facebook and Instagram for news. So I'm coming to the end of writing my first book, which is coming out. It should be May 2021. So it's a very exciting time. This book is a real deep dive into like weaving healing into your craft. So it covers like shadow work, the dark night of the soul, self-love, inner child work, deep healing. It also delves into the medicine we can provide to ourselves through building deep spiritual practice, which is, of course, a theme of today's episode. There is so much medicine within our daily routines if we just keep working on them. It's a bit like the contraceptive pill. Like, you wouldn't get given a supply, take them all in one day and hope not to get impregnated a week later. The more you build your spiritual practice, the more your inner strength and your joy grows. The one thing I cannot express enough, though, is don't worry if you don't have an idea of where you want to go in life at any point, because again, like often by building our spiritual connection and practice through our daily rituals, we then start to receive those messages and understand more about ourselves anyway for those messages to come through. Perhaps just building a deep connection with ourselves could be the goal. I don't want to teach you like how to suck eggs. It's just usually if I bring something to the podcast, it's usually something that's been coming up in my own noggin. So I just wondered if everyone else was feeling the same or have had the same things arise. So with all that said, thank you for joining me today, witches. Lovely to be back. Wishing you all the best for 2021, whatever your plans, your dreams, your goals are. Have a great week. I will catch up with you soon. Lots of witchy love.